Hey everyone, this is the Totally Indian Football Show and I'm the producer Akhil. Before I bring Siju back on, I wanted to just start off with a quick disclaimer. Unfortunately, the audio file for this episode was lost due to some technical issues. On behalf of the Totally Indian Football team, I want to say sorry for the quality this time around. Please listen on headphones if you can and enjoy the episode.
Well, this is a very special episode for us at the Totally Indian Football Show as we are bringing you this exclusive episode from the Fancode office as I am joined by the Fancode co-founder, Mr. Yannick Colaco. And yes, you are listening to the Totally Indian Football Show with me, your host, Siju. Welcome to the show and looking forward to this conversation.
Thank you for having me.
Well, I am super excited to be here and having this conversation with Yannick. So, in case I fumble in between, please, I apologize for it. But let's kickstart this conversation with my first question to you. Is now we know that Dream Sports and Dream 11 are these huge companies that has got recognition for over the period of years. And then, what made you what actually pushed you guys to get Fancode? Like, we would want to know, take us through the Fancode journey and also give us an insight of how you kind of chose this name. Because for me personally, when I look at Fancodes, the spelling also, like what stands out for me is FC, and you've kind of probably, which is generally known as football club, that something is where you've taken as Fancode. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I would love to know what was the process and what was the journey of Fancode.
It's awesome to actually, and thanks for coming here to do this. I appreciate you guys being here to come to our office. We started, Sana and I co-founded Fancode. It's almost 4 years now, under the Dream Sports umbrella. One of the core is like, to begin with, we're mad passionate sports fans, right? And football is obviously sport that is very close to my heart. So we started, one of the main reasons we started Fancode was essentially to solve a lot of problems that we had as sports fans. And one of the biggest problems that I've always looked at, I've been in the industry for close to 20 years and I'm aging myself. But one of the problems that I've always kind of seen, right, in this industry is that, and which was very prevalent 3 to 4 years ago, especially when we started Fancode, was access. Sports fandom has been growing in this country, especially with young sports fans, not just in metros, outside in tier 2, tier 3, and across the length and breadth of this country. But access to sports content outside of like the top level IPL, India team playing has really been limited, has been growing. I've had this issue when I wanted to watch rugby. I struggled to watch, I try and find a YouTube channel or something like that. When I wanted to watch football, aside from the English Premier League, you have to struggle accessing to it. So the core problem that we set up Fancode to solve was essentially saying that how do we use technology to build this product which can actually solve this problem for sports fans in this country, providing the widest access to sports content that they love. And that's really, the genesis of how the germ of the idea of Fancode came up. And I think the name is kind of a reflection of that, right? It's essentially built for fans. And, obviously FC is again a very sporty, as you know, football club, very sporty term. Fancode represents a lot of things in terms of teams, in terms of brotherhood or sisterhood, and things around that. The word code does. And obviously, it's also a little tongue in cheek in the fact that we are primarily a technology company who, we have now 135 people, largely product tech and design. That's essentially the genesis and how we came to Fancode and been building around that.
Yeah, and I think one thing that you mentioned which stood out for me was you talking about your experience in the sports industry as opposed to being a fan. And if I'm not wrong, you were heading NBA for India. So if you could just give our audience, which is primarily an Indian football audience, a glimpse into who Yannick Colaco is.
Sure. So I'm a mad passionate sports fan. I think that's first, right? And I've been extremely fortunate, to throughout my career, having worked very closely with something I'm so passionate about. I played sports. I grew up in Goa. So I played sports all my life growing up, like my entire childhood growing up. Football is something which is essentially something I'm extremely passionate about. And yeah, as I said, one of the biggest advantages that I've had, and I've been really lucky to have, is that for my entire professional career, I've been involved in sports. And, I consider myself very lucky to be able to have worked in sports. Both initially, I worked with IMG, which was one of the largest sports agencies at that time in early 2000. I worked with World Sport Nimbus, which did a lot of great work around, monetization of not just cricket, but also in building broadcast networks, in building together sports like hockey at that time, as well as golf. So I got the opportunity to do that for a while. Post that, I got the opportunity to work with as part of the international leadership team of the NBA, which is again another amazing, not just an amazing brand, but just an amazing product. Right? To be able to work with that and learn and understand and be a part of the global team, and also be able to do a lot of work in grassroots. That's again something that I was really passionate about, and kind of had the opportunity to do that under the umbrella of such a big global brand in basketball. And I'd like to think that, I've been able to kind of put all that together and, worked with my co-founder president in starting Fancode. And then the last 4 years has been another amazing learning journey for me in sports, in terms of how we can actually working with really young Fancoders, a team around us, to figure how we can use digital and this endless realm of technology that we have to be able to solve a lot of these sports fan problems that we've had, and which, honestly, 10 years ago we couldn't. So that's been really exciting for us.
Great. I think now let's get to the point, I think, which most of our audience would be waiting for, is the discussion of how you guys probably got hold of Indian football leagues, right? And also the reason why I'm here. One of the reasons I am here to speak to you is because when I looked up, or when I was looking for where should I watch these games of Kerala Premier League or Goa Professional League, it was on Fancode. And you guys had these leagues streaming on your platform. And not just that, the recently concluded Stafford Cup and also Santosh Trophy. So give us some insights here with regards to how did you plan and prepare to get these Indian football leagues, because as opposed to, it comes down to numbers, right? Now, I personally don't like, or probably don't understand, the number game, but we still have fan following, a fandom for these leagues, because in pockets we are quite vibrant in the Indian football scenario. So if I may just add one more thing here, is because I was going through while in the research for this episode, I was looking at the Business of Sports podcast, where you were part of, and also looked at Jaideep Vaidya's newsletter. But something that stood out, a quote that you mentioned on Business of Sports, is I'll just paraphrase it for our listeners and for you, where you say, fallacy of getting hundreds of millions of customers or subscribers for every single product you put out is essentially a disservice to sport. Now, when I, as a fan and also someone working, read this or listen to this, I was like, wow, here is someone who in power is talking now about, irrespective of numbers, getting the leagues out there, showcasing this, smaller pockets, and getting it out to a platform like Fancode. So can you probably just give us an insight of how you probably planned and prepared and also pushed for having these leagues streaming on to the Fancode platform?
Yeah. So again, right, I think this concept of numbers is in terms of viewers or listeners or whatever, I think it's kind of overstated. And I don't mean that in a putting down the business aspect of it, but I think when you're building great product, the first thing is you have to focus on users, right? Who are you building for? And what is the product that you're building? So we are laser focused on building great experiences for users, for sports fans. And I've always believed that if you can build a great, especially in sport in this country, right? you quoted that, and it doesn't have to be hundreds of millions of people. It can be thousands. It can be tens of thousands. I think if you have the right set of products that you're actually building and you continue building on kind of feedback that you get on that, I think there's enough of opportunity of sports fans in this country to be able to build successful business models around it. But it's chicken and egg. If you don't invest in this, honestly, the ecosystem is. I mean, I come from a time in aging itself, right, where I grew up in 96, 97, when we had the first national league, right, which was the Philips I League. And I remember going to the Goa Fathoda Stadium in Goa. Every single game, I think Goa had 3 teams that time, Chashulkas, then Basala, if I'm not mistaken. Every single game had packed 30,000, 35,000 people. And not just in India, JCT in Punjab was packed. I think Air India played. I think there was Indian Bank in Chennai was playing. They were packed stadiums, great coverage. It was only television, and there was no such thing as digital. And I think that, again, all of this requires levels of investment which can't sit on top of each other. You can't say that we've done 1 year of it, and hey, it's not, the numbers are not delivering. Every business, and I think the same thing for Indian football, you have to continue investing. The Indian Football Federation has done great work in the last few years in investing in it, but I think that investment is to continue. So whether we do even in the Goa Professional League and the Kerala League, I think for us was really important saying, are there audience bases around it? And which they obviously are. How do we now start getting them attached for that product and get to them and give them a great experience? The economics of it is something we'll figure out when we have enough of users and when users are spending enough of time because the experience we're doing is delivering value.
Now, when you spoke about like the NFL leagues, and you actually took us, I'm sure even the listeners, you took all of us down the memory lane where, yes, like you mentioned, packed stadiums and people coming out, watching in huge numbers, though it's still in pockets. But what I want to ask you was, a lot has changed, right? From back where we were in sports in general. When you look at it, we've come all the way here where we're talking about technology. We're having this conversation as well. But somewhere, do you feel that Indian football has not played the catch-up game? For example, the reason I'm asking you is that we have this vibrant community on Twitter who are out there, whether it's good or bad. They express it very well over there, and especially the one question that they keep asking with regards to national team when national team matches happen is the fact that there are no streaming. We can't watch the matches, so they keep asking the question of where can we stream it, where can we watch it. So it feels like a bit of maybe lack of understanding or knowledge. I'm not sure, I could be wrong here, from the federation's point of view, where they are not yet willing to adapt to the technology aspect. Because you mentioned about, or is it also when you said invest, right? You keep investing and wait. You have to play the patience game to get returns from it. So just let us know, what do you think about where, with specific to Indian football, not playing the catch-up game or not adapting technology for its betterment?
So I think there are positives and negatives, right? I think the technology has been great for sport and obviously for consumers and in proliferation, but for a sports like football in India and sports like basketball, it also has been a challenge, not for the federations here, it's also the consumers had the ability to access the best level of it with minimum friction now. So the reality is unlike cricket, where India and Indian players are some of the best in the world. Users, sports fans in this country now do have access to the best in the world of football, the best in the world of basketball. So as an entertainment product, you're competing with that. So I always think that you have to understand your role, right? And every single thing, whether it's the Goa Professional League, whether it's the ISL, whether it's the I League, every single thing you have to understand is who's your consumer, who are you making the product for, and how do you then laser focus in terms of adapting and doing things around it to make it entertaining, engaging, and give a great experience to those consumers. So I think if, and again, I'm not saying that that's what people are doing. But if someone was to say that, hey, I'm going to create this great basketball product in India, and I'm going to then go to every NBA fan and tell them, watch this instead of the NBA, you're going to fail. And it's the same thing with Indian football. If you are creating this great Indian football product, but I'm going to tell my aim is going to be stop watching the Premier League, watch the EPL, watch this, you're going to fail because the products are different. But what I would say is that every single federation should be focusing on leveraging what value you have. Like, for example, in the Goa Football League, for example, leverage the fact that you have own players, leverage local communities, leverage the fact that, this is like a nursery for players playing for India. So I think you need to lean into those pieces rather than be, ashamed of it or go away from it. And I think that's where, not just football, I think a lot of federations have struggled with that, where they're constantly trying to compete with saying, how do we get people? You're constantly trying to compete with audiences, with products which you honestly can't compete with right now. So I think from our perspective, and again, the big advantage of digital has been the fact that we are able to, like in linear television, you had one pipe, right? So you could show one game at one point of time, and you had a choice between 100 games, cricket, football, and football kind of fell down. If you want to show this second game at the same time, you needed a separate channel. Third game, you needed a separate channel, which is significant infrastructure cost. Digital kind of breaks that. So right now, at any point of time, sometimes in Fancode, we have like 40 live games across 6 different sports going on. And while there's obviously infrastructure and the various costs of kind of putting that together, we built the technology to be able to deal with that. But because of that, we're able to do all these tournaments together, and we're able to get users to find a tournament that they want. So I think leaning into that, trying to figure out how do you make an impact of these products in local communities, and that's what we're doing also. Honestly, with the Kerala Football League, we're not trying to promote the Kerala Football League saying, hey, Manchester United fan, come and watch Kerala Football League. We want to focus on people for this little matter and then focus on storylines around that. I mean, it's the same thing like, we've also done a partnership with the EFL in the UK to do women's football. Now, the reality is that using that, we think we can promote women's football in India also, kind of stitching that together and getting audiences linked to that. Will it be at the same level? No. But you then start creating an awareness around, hey, this is a high quality women's football is also really entertaining, really of high quality, and then you kind of extract those audiences in. But I think leaning into understanding what your advantages, what your competency is, and then really trying to work on that and keeping fans in focus is, I think, something really important for every federation.
Right, yeah. I think also what you mentioned about that, right, of the whole conversion part, and that's something even I don't agree to, because that's where I think you get it wrong. It's not about converting a cricket fan into football fan, or even a Manchester United fan to an ISL team fan. It's basically just saying that, okay, you support this club from Premier League, but now because you love the sport, right? So now go out there, support your local team, because that's much more closeness that you feel. Now, moving on to the next question that I have for you is, yes, you have streamed all these leagues up to your platform. I'm sure and expecting more to be there. But what happens inside your dressing room with regards to what's the assessment like? What has the response been like? If something that you can share about that, I think that'd be very interesting to know for me and for our listeners.
Yeah, I think we've been very, very encouraged with the initial numbers that we've seen and the initial traction that we've got. I'm very clear, right? This is not a short-term thing for us. We have to lean into it. We will invest. We want to build football and our football audiences on our platform. And while we'll continue looking at international football and opportunities around it, building domestic, local level, community level football is really, really important for us. And we're going to continue investing in that. And again, I don't look at this as a 2-month, 3-month project. This is a 3, 4, 5, 6-year project. So we are committed to it, and we're going to build that. And working with when you guys suggested doing this, I think that's also really important. I immediately jumped at the chance to, because for us, we really want to hear from fans. What can we do better for you? Digital allows us to do that, and we're getting a lot of feedback in real time, but we want to continuously evolve the product. Right? Should we be increasing the quality of the feed? Should we be changing the timing of the game? We need feedback. And that's why I think for us using, whether our own platform, using social media platforms to try and understand more what core fans or super fans want is really helpful to kind of mold what we want to build going forward.
Well, now I've been told that I only have one more question left to take, but I'm going to take the liberty of asking two over here, and I'll kind of club it so you can take both. My first question to you is you guys stream Santosh Trophy, right? And we know what a historical and heritage that this tournament holds. How was the response like? And personally, if you could tell from your personal experience, because I'm sure in your early days, you've said that you've been following football, and I'm sure you follow Santosh Trophy as well. So if you can just let us know about the experience that you guys had of streaming Santosh Trophy, that is one. And well, the other one is that have you guys been in touch with the federation? When I say that, it's All India Football Federation, with regards to working together or pitching them about collaborating and having certain tournaments streaming up to on Fancode, because you mentioned about women's football and women's sports. So we also have the Indian Women's League coming up, and also the men's team, senior national team, will be in action in a couple of tournaments. So would we see that happening? And if there has been a conversation with the federation, just let us know about, give us an insight into that as well.
Yeah, so I think Santosh Trophy, to answer the first question, I think Santosh Trophy almost one of the most prestigious tournaments in India, right, in terms of a domestic tournament. I do think that we could have done a lot better in terms of being able to actually market it and build it. But I think also we agreed terms with the rights holder very late. I think that this is potential to actually build up over a 6-month period, and we'd love to be able to take the learnings that we have from this year and implement it into really scaling up the tournament going forward. And then I think the second piece, and it's kind of linked to the second piece of working with the Indian Football Federation. We are in conversations with them, and we think that we can work extremely closely with them, give them feedback from users, and hopefully be able to work with them to both improve the on-ground product as well as help in distribution to essentially get the current football fans a better experience, and then keep expanding the football fan base.
All right, then this brings us to the end of our conversation here. And if you ask me, I can sit here for the rest of the day and continue this conversation. But hey, all good things have to eventually end. So here we are at the end of it. Thank you so much, Yannick, for doing this, for coming onto our show, for giving us this time, and having us here in your office. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. Thanks.
And to all our lovely listeners, thank you so much for tuning into the Totally Indian Football Show. We are available on all the leading audio platforms. Thank you so much for showering all the love and appreciation. Keep that coming. We'll be coming up with some more interesting episodes like this one. And also a huge shout out to my team at Idea Brew Studios, and also especially the Fancode team of Arjit and my cousin for making this happen. And once again to all the lovely listeners, thank you so much. This is me, Siju, signing off.